Welcome to the Candyverse. Today we're going to talk about the network that turned blockchain into something more than a money database. Ethereum, the computer that created Web 3. If Bitcoin was digital gold, Ethereum was the moment someone said, what if instead of just moving money, we could run entire programs on top of the blockchain? That's where a young guy named Vitalik Buterin comes in, with a very simple and very dangerous idea. Build a blockchain that works like a global computer, not just balances and transactions, but code that anyone can write, upload, and have executed the same way for every user on the planet. That code is called a smart contract. But in reality, it's just a program. It doesn't install on your PC, it's deployed on the Ethereum network. And every node stores it and runs it, under the exact same rules. That changes everything. If Bitcoin is like a calculator, designed to do one specific job, in a very secure, very resilient way, Ethereum is like an open computer, where you can install applications that manage money and digital assets without asking a bank for permission. The core question behind Ethereum is, what if the internet had a layer where apps could move value without depending on companies? And from that question, Web 3 is born. Web 1, read-only, static pages. Web 2, read and write, social networks, apps, content. Web 3, read, write, and own. Tokens, NFTs, governance, contracts. Ethereum was the first place where these ideas became practical. Most early ERC-20 tokens were born there. NFTs and on-chain art exploded there. The first major DeFi protocols launched there. The first serious DAOs were tested there. While other chains tried to be faster or cheaper, Ethereum became the main laboratory where ideas were tested and later copied across the entire ecosystem. But none of this makes sense unless you see Ethereum for what it really is, a distributed computer that charges a kind of fuel, gas paid in ETH, to execute each piece of code and guarantee that the result is the same for everyone. That's what makes Web 3 possible. An environment where your account isn't an email login, but a wallet that can connect to hundreds of apps without creating a new user every time. That's Ethereum. Now that we have the idea of Ethereum, a global computer, let's look at what that actually means in practice and the role it plays in Web 3. When you connect your wallet to an Ethereum dApp, you're not logging into a normal website. You're interacting with a smart contract that lives on the network, can't be secretly edited, and contains rules like how tokens are swapped, AMMs like Uniswap, how assets are lent and borrowed, Aave, etc., how NFTs are minted and transferred, how voting works in a DAO, how rewards are distributed. All of that is code that Ethereum executes in a neutral way. That's why people say Ethereum created Web 3, because it allowed anyone to program new ways of using money, art, identity, and community without asking permission from a bank, a fintech, or a big tech company. Of course, it's not all magic. That global computer has limits. Every operation costs gas, paid in ETH. When the network gets busy, fees go up fast. And it's not as fast as a giant centralized server. To improve this, Ethereum Layer 2's L2s emerged. Networks like Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, ZK Sync, and others that process many transactions off the main chain and then post proofs back to Ethereum to inherit its security. Think of it like elevated highways, built on top of a main avenue. L2s handle fast, lightweight traffic, while Ethereum L1 remains the slower but ultra-secure foundation, where the final truth is settled. Why should this matter to you? If you're an artist or creator? Because a huge part of what we now call creative Web 3 was born or matured on Ethereum. Digital art collections that proved origin and scarcity on-chain. Projects where NFT holders have a voice in the story. Systems where tokens aren't just shares, but keys that let you go deeper into the universe you're building. When you say Web 3, you're basically talking about things that Ethereum made possible first and that other chains later copied, with their own variations. You don't need to be a developer to appreciate this. You just need to understand that. Bitcoin proved we could have money without banks. Ethereum proved we could have full applications without companies at the center. Together, they opened the door to an internet where your wallet can be your passport, your bank, your inventory, and your user account to enter worlds like the Candyverse without depending on a single platform. If this video helped you see Ethereum as more than just the number 2 altcoin, leave a like and share it with someone who only sees it as expensive gas instead of the machine that powered up Web3. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring how Ethereum, art, and digital worlds intersect from the inside. Follow me. This is the Candyverse.